Hey YouTube, how's it going? Red Baron flying at you with yet another video. So today, we are going to be talking about counter rune rankings. Yes, I'm going to be ranking them, all of them, from the best rune down to the bottom rune. Now, how am I going to do this? I'm going to do this by looking at two things. I'm going to be looking at, 1, their current value in the meta. This will be ranging from 1 to 10. 10 being the best in the meta, 1 being not so good. And I'm going to be looking at 2, their future potential. 1 being they will probably not see much use in the future, and 10 being, yeah, you'll see them quite often. So, but before we go into that, if you want any other cards to be ranked by me, go ahead and put them down below in the comment section, and take this time to go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, so first we're going to be starting at the bottom of the barrel. In 8th place, we have Obel. So, how did I rank Obel? Obel, in the current meta, is a big 1. It's at a 1 for the current meta. I don't know what else to say except for this card isn't used. Sure, whenever you destroy a Elestral, you get to draw a card, but therein lies the problem. We have a lot of back row control here, so being able to destroy an opponent's Celestial gets really, really hard. And it's harder to find value in this card currently. Now, in the future, I feel like this card can be very good, or at least better than it is now. And that's why I set the value for its future potential at 7. So, why will it increase? The value of this card increases because we will start getting a lot of more swarm decks that can swarm the field. You can like summon 2 to 3 or 3 Elestrals in 1 turn. And if you can do it, so can your opponent, and therefore you can play this card and possibly destroy 3 Elestrals at once. Now, destroying 3 Elestrals at once, drawing 3 cards for 1 mana sounds very good, but unfortunately we do not have that yet, and that's why it is last on my list. Alright, going to number 7 on my list is Pandora's Box. So, Pandora's Box. It sees a little bit more play than Obel, but not too much more. It gets seen a lot of side decks, and that's why I put it at a 3 for the current meta. It's used for a lot of toolbox hate. If your opponent tries to search their deck for a card, you're able to stop it and negate that from actually happening. Now, why isn't it any higher? It's the fact that it only negates. It only stops the search. Nothing else really happens with this. And there's not a lot of combo-centric decks currently. Now, what I did do, though, is for the future potential of this card, I put it at a 6 out of 10. Why? Because, as I previously said, we need more combo-centric decks for this to become a little bit more relevant. When your opponent needs to go off and needs to search for a specific card in order to instantly win, this card will become infinitely more better. And that's why I ranked it at 7th place. Now, in 6th place, I have, which a lot of you might hate, I have Chariots. I have Chariot in 6th place. Now, I'll tell you why. Currently, it's starting to see some use in the current meta. But mainly, I feel like it's only seeing 5 guys, so I thought it'd be funny just to give it a value of 5 for 5 guys. Though it's seeing a little bit more outside of the 5 guys deck, it does mainly see it there. Now, the reason why I didn't rank this higher is because, 1, it's a 2 cost, and right now, the only advantage you get from playing it is, I guess, destroying a single Elestral. That's not your only advantage. You can stop your opponent from activating their Ambrosias or anything during their turn, but it's so much harder to do. Normally, it's used on your turn, so you can stop your opponent from activating any back rows. But a lot of the times when I play this card, it feels dead, or you just need something else with it. Like, you can't just play Chariot and you're good. You need Elestrals to back it up. You need something You need be able to create that field presence. Now, what I did do is I have this Chariot future potential at 8. Why? Because if you look at its base effect, it's just Cold Wave. It's Cold Wave from Yu-Gi-Oh! And that card was absolutely amazing. You play it, and then you completely go off. Now, that's why I think in the future, this card will see a lot more play than it currently does now. So, going into 5th place, or I guess at the same time, I should also do 4th place, because they're both pretty much the same total. I have, as you might have guessed, Poison Tipped Arrow and Shield of Achilles. Both currently extremely used in the current meta. That's why I rank them both at 9. And rightfully so. PTA stops your opponent from pushing plays if they have a stronger Elestral. If they have a stronger one, it minimizes or decreases their attack by 2, and then at the end of your turn, you can choose whether to destroy or not by expending 1. And then Shield of Achilles, when your opponent attacks, you can just bounce it back to their hands by paying 1, then paying whatever the cost of the Elestral is. Now, looking at these two effects, ultimately, they do the same thing. They get rid of your Elestral. But you can go back and forth, depending which one's better than the other. Say, like, PTA, for instance. You can pay the 1 to activate it, but you can actually choose not to pay to expend to destroy. There are some circumstances where you do this, but maybe because you don't have enough spirits. But it would stop your opponent for the turn. And then Shield. You can get rid of anything that's equipped with an artifact. Or maybe you get rid of something that needs to make contact to do damage. Because sometimes it feels really bad to PTA your opponent's Elestral, and they're still being able to attack you and deal damage. So you're losing 3 life to get rid of an Elestral, compared to maybe a 2 life to bounce it back to their hand. And in terms of future potential, I actually have both of these at 5. Because I think out of all the counter runes currently, these two are probably the ones least likely to be played in the future. Why? Because I think there could be better counter runes that could come out. I mean, these are both single targets. We could either be going into a non-counter rune meta, or there just be better counter runes. Could definitely be a lot more. And there, that's why I have both of these coming in at 5th and 4th place. So, now getting into the very, very good ones. In 3rd place, we have Tsunami. Now, we are all aware what Tsunami does. Tsunami is a powerhouse of a counter rune. Should be in every deck. And that's why I have it at a 10 for the current meta. And rightfully so. When your opponent attacks, you play it, and it just stops their battle phase unless they're equipped with a water spirit. Now, that being said, that is also why its future potential is a lot less than you would think it would be. It's still at a 7, but the reason why it's not any higher is because we could get into those metas where Tsunami just doesn't work. Because what if we have a mono water meta where the best deck ends up being mono water? Then Tsunami becomes absolutely useless. Or maybe we have multiple decks fighting at the top. If you see water more often, you're not going to put Tsunami in your main deck. You're going to leave it in your side deck. And those are the reasons why I ended up putting it at a 7. So, coming in at a 2nd place is one of my all-time favorites, Altar of the Stars. Now, so for both the current meta and for future potential, I put this card at a 9. 9 for both. So, current meta, if you are running Divine Runes or Stadiums, this card is a must. Not only does it prevent your opponent from attacking, but it allows you to also nexus a card to either activate your receive effects or to, if you're attacking, increase your damage. This card is probably one of the most flexible cards, counter runes, in the current meta. And there are so many uses for it. And that's why its future potential is just as high. As we get more and more Elestrals with good receive effects, Ultra Stars will be seeing a lot more play than Shield of Achilles, or Poison Tipped Arrow, or even Chariot. It is just such a good card, and that's why it comes in at number 2. So, as we come into number 1, I'm pretty sure you all guessed it from the start of this video. Yep, it is Gorgon's Gaze. Both its current meta and future potential, both set at 10. Now, I really didn't want to give this card a perfect score, but what can you do when you get a card that just says nope? It literally stops everything. It is the best 2-cost card that we currently have, and the best counter rune that we ever have. It stops effects. It can stop ascensions. It can stop your nexus. It can do so much more. It can even stop your attack. What can this card not do? Right? And that's why every single deck that you see now in the current meta, top tier decks, they're all running 3 Gorgon's Gaze. Why? Because it's that good of a card. And in the future, this card will still be seeing the same amount of play that it does now. Why? Because it's hard to see a card that can be better than Gorgon's Gaze. Nothing does what Gorgon's Gaze does better than Gorgon's Gaze. It's just, this is not going to happen. Or else maybe like 6-7 sets from now, you get some Omni Gorgon's Gaze or something like that. But no. Gorgon's Gaze is going to see continuous play unless we get into some sort of format where it's really bad to play counter runes. Not sure why. But that is the only way Gorgon's Gaze will be back. So that's my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video on my rankings of counter runes. If you want to debate with me, if you think I'm wrong, go ahead and go down in the comment section and let me know. But until next time, fly high.